Welcome to Startup Grinds. Okay, so the guys who are shouting, they regulars. Everyone else who kept quiet is probably here for the first time. Raise your hand if you're joining us for the first time. Look at that. Awesome. So we have this tradition where I'll say, welcome to, and you shout, Startup Grind. It's good to see some regulars, eh? So we'll do it 3 times. I hope the wine is kicking in. The vodka's kicking in. So you should have some energy. Welcome to. Welcome to. Come on, guys. We need more shots. Should we get the guys to give everyone shots here? Then we'll have some energy. Do you want some shots? I had someone screaming here. Would you like shots? Okay, let's do it one last time. Welcome to. Welcome to. Awesome. My name is Brian Lambo. I'm the chapter director for Startup Grind. I'm an ecosystem builder, and for the past 5 years, we've been bringing entrepreneurs together in spaces like this. We all know how challenging entrepreneurship is, how lonely it can be, but in spaces like this, we allow you to create friends, people who can walk the entrepreneurship journey with you. But more importantly, we connect you with the right opportunities. Some people have raised funding just from the people in our community. Some people have found mentors, business coaches. We've had guys who've raised millions. So if you feel like you're just at another networking event, that's not the case. Our primary focus here is on building meaningful relationships. One of my mentors used to say, you must always have money for coffee. It's easy to reach out to someone and be like, hey, can we meet for coffee? Your coffee can be whiskey. Your coffee can be wine. It can be anything, as long as you meet up with people and you build meaningful relationships. So for today, we are having a different session than the ones we usually have. So we're having a tech mixer. So what's going to happen is, if you're a shy person, you're going to get out of your comfort zone today. Hey, I saw someone looking for the exit now. And I guess it's time for me to leave. So we want you to connect with people. So we're going to play a game at a later stage. So when you are signing in, you should have received a card. It has a couple of, clues or prompts. So they'll explain the game a bit later. But the goal is for you to connect with the person next to you. We want you to leave this place with someone you can have coffee with, someone you can go hiking with, someone you can go on a date with. When I was networking, I had some people are now married. You never know. And, a funny story, last year we hosted a conference, and while I was walking, amongst the audience, I saw a guy at the end. I thought he was taking notes. So I walk up to him, I look at his phone. The guy is busy swiping left, swiping right. Everyone who's laughing is probably on Tinder, because they know. So the guy is busy, and he reduced his radius to 1 kilometer so he can connect with the guys in the room. That's connection, guys. So don't be afraid to build those relationships. So some of our core values at Startup Grind is that we believe in helping others before yourself. We believe in giving first before you take. So in most networking events, you go to those networking events, people have their business cards, they're flashing them. Just as a disclaimer, you can have your business cards, but we don't usually flash business cards at Startup Grind events, because we want you to focus on building relationships. And lastly, we want you to make friends and not contacts. You know what? Contacts will ghost you. How many of you guys have been to a networking event, you collected business cards, you sent emails, WhatsApps, but they never got back to you? Don't be afraid. Raise your hand. We've all been there. You go to a networking event, you try to connect with people, they never come back to you. But that's what we want. We want you to build meaningful relationships and make some friends. So we'd like to thank our partners and sponsors, for making this event possible. So if you're a startup, a corporate, you'd also like to, sponsor our events. We have a community of more than 40,000 business owners. So, corporates use our database to launch their products, to do some marketing and put their brands out there. So if you're interested in doing that, feel free to reach out to us as well. So we'd like to thank Peach Payments, for sponsoring the event. We've got ScaleX, Workshop 17. So this is the Workshop 17 space. So Startup Grind members get a discount. So if you'd like to use a space, whether you want to book a meeting room, take on a membership, just shoot us an email, and then we'll connect you with the Workshop 17 guys. Then you'll probably get 20 to 30% off whatever membership that you want to sign up for. So when it comes to sponsors, we should always be grateful that they exist. I'd like us to take a moment to clap hands for our sponsors because they help make sure that we have some lovely wine, some drinks, some vodka. Come on, then they'll make sure that, next time they bring more shots and more wine. Would like you to connect with us on social media. So preferably LinkedIn, Startup Grind Cape Town. Feel free to take as many pictures as possible. So we have a media team here. There's Rudy at the back. Let's give him a round of applause. He'll be, whenever you see him come, close to you guys, just put on your big smile. Just smile for the camera. And then make sure you take pictures as well. We're going to have this media wall, put it on the side here later on so you guys can take pictures as well. And then, so we'll be kicking off with the masterclass. And before we do that, I'll just give you guys some time to, get to know who's in the room. So there's a game we like to play as well. We want to find out who's in the room. So what's going to happen is you're going to have a few minutes. You're going to talk to the person on your left and you're going to talk to the person on your right. Chat for, 2-3 minutes. And then afterwards, we're going to choose random people. Her eyes just popped out. She was like, please don't choose me. So we're going to choose random people and you're going to tell us about the person next to you or the most interesting one. It's a hard choice if you're sitting, with two people. So we're going to do that. So for now, let's just make sure that just talk to the person on your left, talk to the person on your right, and then in about 2-3 minutes, I'll tell you guys to stop, and then we're going to pick randomly. So be prepared. Connect with someone next to you now. Go for it. Welcome to. Welcome to. Welcome to. Welcome to.
Startup guy.
Welcome to. Welcome to. That's all I want to hear. Startup grind. Welcome to. We're getting there. Welcome to. Welcome to. Fantastic. So it's good to see people are engaging. So now we're going to start choosing people, eh? Okay, so we're going to start. We're going to start on this side. So we can go for. Your people are looking at their phones now. Can they give me a call, please? Let's do the guy in green.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, you can stand up. That's fine.
So must I just explain what
Yeah, you can
this
just
guy does?
tell us what they do, what brings them here if they told you. But yeah, just tell us about
Cool.
them.
So this is Nathan. He works for a company called Flash. They seem to offer a lot of services similar to Yoko. Forgot the other company's name, but point of sale systems. He's an Android developer. I'm not sure what brought him here. I didn't get to that yet. So yeah, that's
Okay.
kind of it.
That's fantastic.
But-
Let's clap hands for him. And also, it's very important for you to listen to what these guys do, because when we're playing the tech mixer, some of the clues on your cards will be to find someone who's a developer. So Nathan, they're coming for you. So let's pick someone else. Let's see. Okay, we'll do Mandy's. I was about to pass and she laughed. I was like, easy target.
Hi everyone, I'm Mandy Sam. This is Zoe. Zoe is a project manager. She works for Fast Paced. They are working with payments, and then she's just oversee and everything. She's just here to network.
Okay, fantastic. Let's clap hands for him. Okay, so we'll do the last person, eh? Let's see. People are confident now. It's like, okay. Let's do here. Actually, let's with the wine glass.
All right, so I'm going to speak about Mavadi. Actually, interesting fact, we both come from Limpopo, which is something that we spoke about. And he went to the Kruger National. I also stayed in the Kruger National as well. But he's a software engineer working on different domain name systems. I'm not an engineer, so that's just confirming that. But yeah, it was great to meet him. He's also from there, and he stays in Cape Town, same as I do. So we've got quite a lot of in common, actually.
Nice. I actually see these guys meeting up for drinks later on, eh? Okay, so let's clap hands for the guys that told us about the people next to them. One of the most important things as well, that you'll need to do, especially when it comes to networking events, you need to sell yourself. And if you can't sell yourself, listen to other people sell themselves. And the more you listen to them, the more you engage with them, the more you ask questions, the more you guys can connect. You can find that, your favorite whiskey is probably a Jameson, Select. The guys understand, Okay, so we're going to kick off with the automation masterclass. And then after that, we're going to start with the tech mixer. And I'll just do a short, intro about myself again. So what we like to do is, part of the work that we do at Startup Grind here, we set up entrepreneurship, ecosystems across the country. So currently, we run events, community events in 6 different cities. So every single month, we bring entrepreneurs together in 6 different cities. We give them the opportunity to connect, network. And more importantly, we actually partner and work with some of the big conferences, such as the Africa Tech Festival, Seamless. So when you're part of the Startup Grind ecosystem, you'll see with the communication at a later stage, we get our startups to get exhibition tables for free at the Seamless conference, the Africa Tech Festival conference, so you don't have to pay. So you guys know how expensive those exhibition packages can be. So we'll be sending out communication later on in the year. So if you're interested, just make sure that you submit your application as soon as possible. So over the past couple of years, we've actually done more than 200 events now. So this was last year. So last year we did over 60 events across South Africa. And we managed to impact over 50,000 entrepreneurs. And one of our biggest goals is to accelerate digital transformation in the entrepreneurship space. We've done some surveys, to our community, and it's quite interesting to see how most of them have not fully, adopted, tech solutions. Some of them are still using, Excel for their accounting. We sent out a survey sometime last year. I think just over 9,000 entrepreneurs filled in the survey, and over 50% of them are using Excel for their accounting. Imagine, and we still have QuickBooks, we have Xero, we have all of these guys, and it was quite a shocking thing. Being entrepreneurs, we saw this as an opportunity. We sold the data to one of our corporates, and then they launched an accounting software. So you guys might have seen emails from SME Go, from Old Mutual. They launched an entrepreneurship, an accounting software for SMEs because there's actually a gap out there. You might think, they are using these tools, but they're not. So we also have a database of over 40,000 entrepreneurs. So if you'd like to use our database, just feel free to, reach out to us. So personally, my name is Brian Mlambo. I'm an ecosystem builder. I run a venture builder called Aka Ventures. Aka means to build in isiZulu, and one of our goals is to help African entrepreneurs build scalable ventures. We set up bespoke incubators, accelerators, for corporates, and for some of the big accelerators that we behind the scenes, so we can't disclose who, but we actually set up the program, get the mentors, the facilitators, and most of those guys. And then we also set up entrepreneurship ecosystems. I also wrote a book called Navigating the Odyssey, a playbook for entrepreneurs. So it's very practical. So it's not a book where I'm telling you about how I almost lost my business to my ex-girlfriend, or how my friends, tried to, steal my clients. It's focusing on real life templates and tools that you can use. Whether you're setting up an automation system, which we'll be diving into, or whether you want to, figure out you want to run a marketing campaign. We actually give you templates that you can use, from email templates, how to do prospecting, how to qualify leads, and we give you the blueprints that we've been using. So most of the work we've been doing, it's tested, and we're doing it for not just for SMEs, but also for big corporates. And part of our goal also with this masterclass is for you to understand how easy it is and how affordable it is to have a fully functional automation system for your business. So if you have any questions, regarding the work that we do, feel free to connect with me afterwards. I like to take pictures, so let's take a lot of pictures after here. Okay, so we also have a business automation challenge happening from the 11th to the 13th of Feb. So if you're interested in joining a challenge, so this one will have a focus on sales and marketing. So by the end of the session, you'll have a fully functional, automation system for your sales and marketing. We're going to teach you how to, generate leads, the manual way, and also, using ads, how to use, systems like, Zapier, Integromat to take the leads, put them in your CRM, set up automated emails, get SMSs. I know some of this is confusing, but you'll understand later. So that's what we'll be focusing on, automation. So it's a 3-day challenge. So for 3 days, we'll be meeting here at Workshop 17 in one of their workshop rooms, and for 3 to 4 hours. will be building the system with you. So it's not like we'll be teaching you how to do it, we'll build it with you. So if you're interested, feel free to, find out about this as well afterwards. Okay, so we're going to kick things off now. Who's excited for the masterclass? Fantastic. You guys need more shots, eh? Okay, so it was quite interesting. So there was a report published by, McKinsey, and they say that the health of local economies today will affect their ability to adapt and thrive in the automation age. And for this session, I want us to bring this home so that you can understand, the importance of automation. The health of local businesses today will affect their ability to adapt and thrive in the automation age. So if you don't take care of the health of your business and make sure that you have the right systems in place, this will affect how you compete in the market. This will affect how you can scale your revenue, how you can scale your team. And the sad reality is that, with automation, it comes with a lot of benefits that we cannot ignore. A simple tool such as, ChatGPT. 5 years ago, we didn't have ChatGPT. But today, it's like, it's a part of our lives. It's like most of us, what are you typing an email? ChatGPT. What are you a developer? Using ChatGPT. What are you a marketing person? You're a founder using ChatGPT. So it comes with benefits that you cannot ignore. But one of the biggest challenges most businesses have is, how do I automate my business? Most of us know that we need to automate our business. You need to do something different. But the question is, how do you do it? So we'll potentially, dive deep into that. So some of the key areas of business automation that you can, potentially focus on, and this is just, on the basic level. We can look at, the marketing automation. When you're automating your marketing, and especially your sales, we like to actually link the two, marketing and sales automation. Which tools should you use? Most of you guys, if you go online, you want an email, marketing software. What you do is, you'd search for software, they give you a lot of options. And then you want to read, the reviews, you want to do research on the tools. By the time you want to make a decision, you're tired. From watching all those videos, this guy's trying to explain this. You think you picked the right tool, you create an account, you log in, you don't know what the hell is happening. And then you always get these emails, they're trying to promote their services, trying to get you back. But you don't know how to begin. You don't know how to utilize, the tool itself. And then also during the business automation challenge, we'll also be diving deep into, your own business. So we'll be looking at the tools that you need specifically for your business. So we've done a lot of research in terms of like different tools and can advise you on that. And then on operations as well. How do you manage your team? Especially for most startups, if you're running an agency, you might have a lot of clients. You want to scale your team, but everything is likely, let's say, on email or it's on WhatsApp. Everything is everywhere. You don't really have a good, project management, software that you're using. If you're using one, it's not integrated, to your emails. It's not integrated to your marketing, functions. Everything is separate, and you end up having to use 6 different softwares. And this is a reality that most founders, face. Lastly, we're looking at analytics. And this is a very interesting one. Tools like Google Analytics. Just by raising your hands, how many of you have actually, used Google Analytics? Fantastic. How many of you have a website? Okay. So what usually happens is you have a lot of people, they have websites, but only a few of them have Google Analytics. So with Google Analytics, also with some meta tracking, it allows you to track, your website activity. It allows you to integrate it, with different systems. If you have a CRM that you can use, it can allow you to integrate with it so that whenever someone visits your website, it sends them an email. for those who don't know how most of these things work, if you, let's say, visit the website of a corporate company, let's say APSA, for example, you go to the APSA website, when you log in, they say accept cookies, and you just accept them. You don't read anything. You just accept. And after an hour or two, when you go to your inbox, you see an email from APSA in your promotions. How many of you have experienced that? When you go to Instagram, you start seeing ads from APSA. When you go to Facebook, you start seeing ads from APSA. And that's because they're retargeting you with the system that they've built. And this is a very simple thing that every small business can have. Whether you're a startup or a corporate, doesn't matter. You can easily set up a tracking pixel, put it on your website, get a marketing automation software that allows you to integrate with that code. And whenever someone visits your website, it triggers. And then it sends what? An email. So these are some of the tools that, most people use for marketing automation, sales automation. Some of you guys might know some of these softwares. Does anything look familiar here? Fantastic. Some of you created accounts, but you don't even know where your login details are. Because they're complicated. That's a sad reality. They're complicated. So these are some of the tools that you can use, whether you're doing marketing, sales, business operations, these are some of the things that you can, consider. So what we're going to do is we're going to have, more of a practical session now. So I'm going to pick, one business, and then we're just going to talk through how you can automate it. What are some of the key things that you can automate in your business? The most important thing, for you to note is that we all start at different points. Whether you're a startup, you're a scale-up or you're a corporate company, we all start at different points. And depending on your budget, you can have a tool that works specifically for your company. Some of the tools, a very great one you guys can check out, Brevo. Brevo's amazing, especially for marketing and sales. How many of you guys know Brevo or use Brevo? Fantastic. It replaces, most of your email marketing, calendar booking, sales pipeline, software. It's actually quite an interesting one to check out. But it's very important for you to understand that we all start with automation at different points. So whether you have, 500 rands, you can build a system that works for you. Whether you have 5,000, 10,000, you can build a system that works for you. It's just a matter of understanding what are some of the key things that you need to put together. Okay, so we're going to have a 4-step process. We're likely not going to do the last one. And that's primarily because it takes time. But then this is just a quick shot, framework for you to set up, your automation. It's nothing hectic, very simple. So the first step is to, map your workflow. So, what are you doing? Let's say you want to map your customer journey. So there's a process you go to, you go through, customer journey mapping, sales or marketing, journey mapping. So this is one of the most important steps, that you want to start with before you do the research in terms of what tools you need. Before you watch all of those videos, before you invest money in any other software, you first want to sit down and map out the workflow of the particular department or issue that you're struggling with. Like, how do you find startups?
I'm currently using MailJet and MailChimp. That's for the email services. That's for the email services that we're currently running in terms of getting investors and interacting with startups as well across Africa as a whole.
Okay. And with the mailing list, how do you build it?
We're currently using spreadsheets. We're on the process of automation, and we've just upgraded our websites as well so that it's much easier for investors and founders when they get onto our main page. They can track their profiles and also what type of sectors investors can actually invest in.
Okay, fantastic. What's the name of your business?
Box Plexus.
Box?
Plexus.
Plexus. We'll just name it Box for now, eh?
Okay.
box. Can you guys see my handwriting? Damn, I passed high school, eh? Okay, so his business connects startups with investors. Okay, so with that type of business model, you pretty much have to run, let's say, 2 different campaigns. You need a campaign that focuses on startups. You need a campaign that focuses on investors. Okay, so we're gonna focus on the startup side for now. So you said you guys are using like spreadsheets, and then after that you send emails. And then what do your emails usually contain, like the content?
It's targeted emails. Some of the investors are investors that we've worked with in the past. Some it's new ones that have interacted with our website. Hence, you mentioned the tracking system with cookies.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So when we're mapping out the workflow, so let's say this is like step 1. So what's the first thing you do when you're looking for startups?
We are running adverts.
So you're running adverts.
Yes.
So that's 1. Ads. Okay.
And secondly, networking events. I have a team in Canada and Portugal.
Okay. So networking events. Okay. Anything else?
LinkedIn as well.
So LinkedIn. Okay.
Yes.
That's it. Okay. This is pretty much most of the process, most startups, follow. So you run ads, whether it's Facebook ads, Google ads. You probably go to networking events as well. And then lastly, you use LinkedIn, outreach. We can add the last one. Let's say we can just have like your website just to target people who visit your website directly. So in most cases, when you just look at these 4 things, someone might think, okay, we just run ads. That's how we get startups to, let's say, join our email list. That can be, the main goal, objective 1. You want people to join your email list. But then after that, what do you do? Do you guys book calls with the startups, or how do you go about doing it?
Once they're signed onto our platform.
Once they're signed onto the platform?
We added new services in terms of assisting them to get investor readiness, and we've partnered with another business partner from the US in terms of business coaching and advice services.
Okay, so which means once someone is on your database, they need to sign up for your service.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So that's the end goal here. Someone doing what? Signing up. Okay, so let's say someone is signing up. Okay, so this is the ultimate goal. We're going to run ads. We're going to go to networking events. We're going to go to LinkedIn. We're going to have a website that's up. The goal is to get people to sign up for a service. Okay, so in most cases, so we'll just start with the ads one. So that's the first one. So when you're running ads most of the time, what some founders do is, if you don't have a good system, some of them would, let's say, they generate leads because you want to build an email list. When you're running those ads, the leads to sign up, then what they would do is they would take the leads, manually download them from Facebook, export them, and then import them onto their CRM. Okay? And then once they input them onto their CRM, then they can start, sending emails. That's the first manual process that most founders actually do. Especially, for some startups, they wait for a lead to sign up. You might find, let's say, the leads on your Facebook dashboard as well, if you're looking for them. But then that's typically the manual process. The first goal here is to get people, to the CRM. So in most cases, you can do this, in 2 ways. The manual way, you can download the leads, upload them onto the CRM, and then send out the emails. In this particular case, using MailChimp.
Yes.
Alternatively...
Sorry? Mailjet mostly.
Mailjet.
Yes.
Okay. So alternatively, what you can do is, set up an automation process that will allow you to take the leads information as soon as they sign up and add it to your CRM automatically. So this is a faster way, so that even when, let's say, you're in meetings, you're doing, something else, you don't have to manually check who has, signed up, what are their details, and what do you need to do. So for that particular part, if you want to automate it, there's a tool called Zapier. So you guys can check it out. So Zapier is pretty much an integrator. If you're going to be building, automation, like systems for your company, so Zapier is the tool that you really want to invest in. It's very affordable, especially when you're still starting, unless if you're running, very big operations. But at the small scale level, Zapier allows you to automatically take all the information that you get from the leads. So as soon as someone signs up, it adds them onto your CRM and it sends them an email immediately. So this way, the touch points between your leads is very minimal. You don't have to wait, an hour or two for you to reach out to someone. So as soon as they sign up, it adds them onto the CRM. And then after that, what you want to do is you want to set up different targeted messaging fonts. So email is one of the systems that he uses. Another one can be SMS. Another one can be WhatsApp. If you're in the business services space, if you can find a tool that allows you to integrate all of these things into your automation system, it's going to be a game changer. If you can find a software that allows you to send automated emails and at the same time send automated SMSs, and lastly, allows you to send WhatsApps, it's going to be a game changer. And we've seen this in the campaigns we've been running for some of our clients, that it helps increase the conversion rate faster. Because what you do is a lead signs up, you send an email immediately. After they get an email, an hour later, they get an SMS from you. An SMS, also with the SMS, it has conditions. So when you're sending the email, it sends the email an hour later. The system that you set up. So in this particular case, let's assume using Mailjet, or alternatively, a very good one would be like Brevo. But you also have Active Campaign, MailChimp, HubSpot, all of these guys, all of these systems, they do this. One of the most important things that you'll need to do as a founder, whether you're a marketing professional, sales professional, or, you run your own business, is to invest the time in understanding the workflow of your company. What's the journey someone needs to follow for them to sign up as a lead, to get to sign up for your services? Once you add them onto the CRM, you can have a targeted campaign that runs probably for like a week or two, depending on how you want to set it up. They can get an email. An hour later, the system that you set up, it checks if they open the email or not. If they did open the email, it sends them another email that says, hey, please let us know if you're ready to book a call or if you have any questions. We're ready to help you. And then you just let them be. But if they don't book an email, you can send an SMS. I'm like, hey, Dave, I noticed you're interested in service X, Y, and Z. I sent you an email. Please check your inbox. After that, you can add another waiting period. It waits for let's say a day or two. After 2 days, the system that you're using, it checks. Has this person opened my email? Yes or no? Has this person opened my SMS? Yes or no? If the answer is no, you can send a WhatsApp. WhatsApp, we don't usually advise people do that, but you can alternate between the email and the SMS. So this is a very important thing that you want to understand, that the first starting point that someone is gonna have is they're gonna sign up as a lead. After they sign up as a lead, you add them onto the CRM. After adding them onto the CRM, you want to know how many emails are you going to send them? How many SMSs are they going to get? How many WhatsApps are they going to get? Usually you can have let's say 7 emails. You can have 3 SMSs. You can have 1 WhatsApp. And you send this communication over a certain period of time. Okay? And how this usually works is when you're looking at it, the goal is for us to get the individual here. So we'll look at email as an example. So what we're doing here, we're just mapping out the workflow, the journey that someone will be following. Okay? So someone signs up as a lead, they get added to the CRM, and they get email 1. We wait for 1 hour. After an hour, we check, have they opened an email, yes or no? After that, you have a conditional thing. You can have the no here, you can have the yes here. If the answer is no, they can get email 2. If the answer is yes, they can get email, let's say 2A, this is 2B. And what you then do is you repeat this process up until the last email. If this person has opened your email, now the next question is, have they signed up for the service? Yes or no? So you do the same thing. If they have signed up for your service, then you've met the objective of the workflow or the campaign. But if they have not signed up for the service, what happens afterwards? So one of the key things that most entrepreneurs struggle with is that we tend to focus too much on the yes. This is where we spend most of our time and energy, that we focus too much on the yes. We only focus on the guys that have responded very fast, that have booked a meeting very fast, but we never really have systems that allow us to convert the guys that are very slow to engage from a long-term perspective. So the answer, one of the questions that you always need to ask yourself is, what then? When someone receives your email, what then? If you have a lot of services like, let's say you guys do, it's always good to have, one call to action for your campaigns. Whether you're doing your campaigns or whether you're also mapping out, some processes for your teams, but it's always good to always have one call to action. Because when you have that particular call to action, it allows you to effectively have a system that you can track, have a system that you can continuously optimize, and make sure that you get the most out of it. For the guys who are doing sales, we've all probably, been in that case where you're reaching out to someone and they tell you like, hey, this is not a good time. Let's chat again 6 months later. 6 months later, things are going so well for you, you forgot about them. You didn't even reach out, like you probably, made a note somewhere, but you even forgot where that particular note is. So that's why it's very important for you to understand, how do you set up a system that allows you to connect with all of these different individuals? If someone says, let's chat again 6 months later, you know that you set up a workflow that allows you to add them onto, that workflow. 6 months later, the email is just going to go out without you even, noticing. You probably even forgot about that particular individual. Sometimes it happens that, you're running a sales campaign, for the guys who do sales themselves, you guys have been running a campaign for a whole week, no one is interested, now you're just so demotivated, you're not even, eager to follow up with the rest of the other guys. Or you don't want to, finish your sales calls or do any of those things. But when you have a system, it's important for you to understand, how do you actually automate it and make sure that you can track it for the main objective. So if your objective is to get people to sign up, the first step is always to map out the workflow. This is a process that you can, do with your team. If you have a team, book a day, book a meeting room, or you guys at your office, have a day, sit down, look at, how do we do sales? If you're a founder, you have a sales team, ask your team, how do we get clients in this company? Like, tell me. They'll tell you, we go to networking events. Okay, we go to networking events, what then? You come to a networking event here, Let's say you probably get business cards. What are you going to do with those business cards? Let's say someone takes your number or you take their email. What are you going to do with that email or business cards? But what if you had a calendar booking link or a system that you're using so that when you're connecting with people, you reach out to them like, hey, Dominic, how you doing, man? I love what you guys are doing. Let's meet up for coffee. Let me get your details. You put his name down and you ask him, when do you think is a good time to probably have a meeting? He says, the next 2 weeks are super busy for me. Let's try maybe, late Feb. You add his email address, you book the meeting right there and then. This way, you've managed to take the individual from here, you're adding them to the CRM just by allowing them to book using the meeting link. Alternatively, you can have a form on your website. You have a website. Some of you guys, you have websites. You have a contact form that you're having that allows you to, get all the information. When someone fills in that form, what happens afterwards? If they get added to a system, what communication do they get? Who's paying attention to the communication? Who prepared that communication? How frequent are you going to contact them? So it's going to be very important for you to understand that how do you map out the entire workflow? Sit down for your sales, you do that. For your marketing, you do the same. For your team management, you do the same. When you call Rob into the office and be like, hey, how does your day look like? When you come in the morning, you do this, you map it out. And that's when you can have things like, SOPs that allow you to understand what is properly happening in the business itself. When you have a good system, even from a sales perspective, it allows you to put in the work without convincing yourself that you're putting in the work. Most founders, they have this thing that, you'll think you're working very hard. You'll think that, you're crushing the numbers, you're doing the sales, but based on the targets that you want to achieve, you're not even putting in, half of the work that's required. We get a lot of founders coming to us and be like, hey, I'm struggling to get clients. I'm struggling to, grow my business. And we ask them, okay, what's your target revenue? How much money do you want to make a month? And they're like, okay, I want to make 100,000 rands per month. Okay, you want to make 100,000 rands per month? What's the average price of your service? Let's say it's 10,000 rands, which means they need to get 10 clients for them to make 100,000. But for them to get those 10 clients, for people to sign up, how many emails do they need to send out? How many calls do they need to make? How many meetings do they need to have? Most of the time, the numbers don't correlate. You found that the founder is having 25 meetings a week. They think, I'm crushing it. At the end of the month, the sales are not reflecting your effort. And usually it's because the way you're setting up your targets and the way you're putting in the work is not correlating. What we've actually found is, for some of the founders, and this is what we're actually doing as well, when we're starting out, we'd actually send, more than 500 emails every week. Send 500 emails every week. You'd probably have, close to like 40 meetings every week. And that's like one individual having 40 meetings. You also have other guys having their own meetings. And that's probably for us to just close let's say 10 or 15 deals. So when you have a system, it's easy for you to track it. The same thing, we hear this a lot, as founders, hey, we work very hard, 16-hour week, every day you're working for 16 hours. But in most cases, what we've actually found is you think you're working 16 hours, but you probably work 16 hours on Monday and Tuesday. But on Monday and Tuesday, you put in so much work that you think you've done the whole work for the week. The other days, you're just putting in, 3 hours, 4 hours there, 3 hours, 4 hours there. And by the end of the week, you think you've put in, a lot of work. But because you don't have a good system that allows you to even track the activity that you're putting in, it's hard for you to know. Actually, it's even hard for you to get the output that you desire. There's a reason why when you're hired, when you're working for a company, especially for the guys that are working virtually, there's a reason why they give you a time tracker. Especially during COVID, they introduced a lot of time trackers that capture your screen. They take screenshots every 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Because they want to see, are you really working or not? So that's an exercise you can probably give yourself, just for 1 week. Put on a timer when you start working and track how much time are you actually putting in your business. And more importantly, if you're doing sales, how much time are you actually putting in sales? How many meetings are you having? How many calls are you taking? How many emails do you need to send out? You said you guys are doing, like spreadsheets. I remember my founder and I, we used to do a lot of prospecting. When you're doing manual prospecting, how many of you guys have done manual prospecting? Okay, I see a few hands. With manual prospecting, you sit down, take your spreadsheet, you put it there. You can probably have, different columns, your first name, last name, company name, email, website address, and some notes. And what you do is you create a customer persona, you have a criteria of the people you're looking for, and you would go on the internet. You're searching for companies, you're going to business directories, you're going to LinkedIn, you're connecting with people, and you're adding them onto the spreadsheet. You guys know what I'm talking about. Like you do that. It's manual prospecting. And in most cases, you realize that if, let's say, you want to close 10 deals, especially the more you do it, if you want to close 10 deals, then you need to probably have a list of, let's say, 2,000 prospects. You need to send emails to 2,000 people. Out of those 2,000, only 400 will respond. And when the 400 responds, only 100 will book meetings with you. Half of them are not going to show up. The other half will show up. But half of those guys will not even sign up. Out of the 25 that's left, only 5 will sign up. The other 20 will be like, hey, let me talk to my team. I'll get back to you. You can send a proposal. You can send an invoice. And this is something that we see happening. So that's why it's very important that for all the functions of your business, sit down. Give yourself 2-3 hours, if you can, sit down and map out your workflow. How do you look for clients? You look for them via LinkedIn. What's the process? You connect with people. Then what? You send them an email. Then what? Don't just focus on the positive side. That then what? They respond to you. Great. You book a meeting. What happens if they don't respond to you? What happens if they're interested but not now? What happens if, your price is too expensive? Or maybe they're relocating or they're moving offices, what happens then? You want to be able to have a system that allows you to effectively track everything. Once you've mapped out the process, choose the right tool. Choosing the right tool, this is where it can be very difficult. In most cases, you have a lot of options. What we often advise founders is just choose one tool, no matter how bad it is, stick with it. Invest the time to learn and master it. And what you'll realize is with the time you've invested learning that particular software, by the time you want to move on to a different one, you'll just find all of them are similar. They just use different terminology. And some of them have brighter colors, some of them have, more beautiful workflows. That's what you find. So you want to choose the right tool. If you want a tool for your marketing, you select it. That's why with the prospecting, usually when you're starting, you're doing it manually. Okay, when you're doing it manually, then you realize that, okay, I can't be doing prospecting manually. I need a tool that can help me with this. Then you do research, you find out you have a lot of tools that can help you with, sales prospecting and generating leads. Once you've identified those tools, then you stick to it. Use it as much as you can. Master that particular tool. And then once you've mastered it, then it allows you to test and refine your process. You find out what works and what doesn't work. Which one has a high email delivery rate? Which one doesn't? When you're starting, as much as it's important, it doesn't really matter. You just want to send your emails, get them out there. And then you find out from the data that you're getting, are people engaging with it or not? If not, then you take the right steps. And then lastly, you want to monitor the performance. So with automation, it's not just about choosing the right tool, but it's about making sure that the tool works for you. If it doesn't work for you, you can drop it. Go find a different software or just go back to doing it manually. So you want to make sure that you monitor the performance and the improvement. If you're doing it for sales, is it freeing up your time? Is it helping your team close more deals? If it's for your marketing, are you getting more traffic, going to your website? Are you booking more meetings? How is it helping you? If it's for your team, are they more productive or what? We've actually had founders try to use project management softwares or introduce project management software to their teams. And sometimes they just realize that, the team is just disengaged. Like, they don't have the time to go to Monday. They don't have the time to go to ClickUp. They don't have the time to open, Slack. But they're good at what they do. It happens. If they're good at what they do, they're getting the job done. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't still track the system. You still need to have those measures where you can track, their performance and everything. But more importantly, you want to make sure that the tool is working for you. And when you do that, it allows you to slowly automate your business and slowly scale your operations. So this is just a simple workflow that you can, probably integrate, firstly sitting down, understanding what's the workflow, what's the process for all of the things that I need to do. After that, you choose the right tool. After that, you test and you refine the tools and you see, is it working or is it not? And lastly, you want to monitor the performance. So you want to do a lot of research on, mapping out the workflows, because when you're mapping this out, and automation is practically this. There's a video I recorded, showing some founders, how to actually, set up an automation system. It's practically this. So once you've mapped this out, you go to the software you've chosen, you put email 1, you add a waiting condition, wait for 1 hour. It checks if, the people have opened the email or not. You tell it what to do. This is practically it. So the reason why most founders struggle to automate things is because you don't know what you want to automate. You know you need the tool, but you don't know what you need it for. That's why you're going to use it for 1 day, for 2 days. After that, you don't even know where the login details are. So it's very important for you to understand that, map out the process. After mapping the process, then you choose the software. Because the software is the only thing that's going to allow you to take this and actually put it into something, more actionable. Okay. Was this helpful?
Yes.
Fantastic. So let's just take some questions, and then we're just going to start with the tech mixer shortly. Yes.
Could you maybe elaborate on why WhatsApp is not a great choice? Mention that briefly, and just secondly, and the second question is for the age group between 18 and 21, what is the best mechanism to reach out to them?
Okay, fantastic. So with the first one, with WhatsApp, the reason why we don't, usually advise people to run campaigns on WhatsApp. So the first one is, it's people's WhatsApp is actually more private, than people's SMSs. That's the first one. So you don't want to be chatting with your wife and then, a campaign just pops up there. So that's the first one. But the second one to that is WhatsApp is very quick to block accounts. They're very quick. Their system is way too advanced. And the problem is, once they block you the first time, you're going to have a problem with the account continuously. You're going to have to unblock it. After that, they block it again. So it's just super crazy. What we usually advise is a mixture of email and SMS always works the best. And what you want to do is you can also make the SMSs very interactive. So what you can do is you can send someone an SMS and be like, hey, I noticed that you signed up. I sent you, an email. You might have missed it. But guess what? As soon as you close this SMS, you're going to get an email. And guess what? When they close the SMS, an email pops up. that's how automation, works. That's how you can set it up. Even when someone opens an email. So how automation usually works is it has what we call triggers. What triggers the automation? So an automation can be triggered by someone visiting the website. So immediately when someone visits the website, it triggers the automation. Then it's going to send them an email. If you wanted to send an email, it can send them an SMS as well. It can start showing them your ads if you've got some ads, running. A trigger can be someone opening an email. Immediately when someone opens an email, they get an SMS. And you can also have like advanced options depending on the platform you use to have what we call push notifications. So a push notification, you guys know push notifications, right? It just pops up like, on your phone there. You can also set that up. When someone visits your website, an hour later, they just get a push notification. That says, hey, I noticed you haven't booked a meeting. If you're interested, give us a call. Something like that. So that's it. And then to the second part. So for the guys who are 18 to 21, depending, I'll come to you now. For the guys who are 18 to 21, depending on the type of campaign that you're running, so what you want to do is you want to focus more on the platforms that they're using. So what we've actually found out is 18 to 21, most of them engage a lot on Instagram. So on Instagram, if you're running ads, instead of running an ad that's sending, that target group to a website, run ads that allow them to send a message. So we have what we call message ads. So when someone sees your ad, they'll send a message. And then when they click send a message, you can have different prompts or like questions that you're asking them. And for them to answer, most of the time, it's they can fill in some details, like maybe they need to drop their email or they need to provide their name. So Instagram for 18 to 21 usually works best. Email, not so much. But then if you can integrate it with the SMSs, they'll look at their emails. Yes, so we have another question here.
Hello. I just would like to clarify, as in different countries, different law apply for data protection and security of users and internet. How is going here in South Africa? Because what you're telling, for example, is not allowed in European continent.
That's true.
You will go to the jail, or not to the jail, to the court, and probably in the jail if you don't cancel the subscription for users after a few complaints,
Yep. So, what you're saying, depending on where you are, it's very important, firstly, to, read up on the policies or the laws, in your particular country. And that's why, if you notice, for most websites, there's a reason why when you're opening the website, they give you a prompt, accept cookies. So you can choose to accept them or not to accept them. Alternatively, some of them actually have different preferences that you can customize them. Let's say you don't want to receive marketing, cookies. You can just give them like basic analytical data. So depending on how it's set up, and with the system, when you're using it, everyone who gets into your CRM, this is someone who has consented to give their information in one way or the other. When you're running an ad, they fill in a lead form. You give them the data, then you send them emails, then you send them, SMSs. When, you're doing it on LinkedIn or your website as well, they've accepted cookies, then you can run remarketing campaigns. So it's very important as well to make sure that, you do the necessary research on the laws. But luckily in South Africa, especially if you set up your system right and you only promote and advertise to people who have actually consented to give you their details, shouldn't be a problem. I think we had another question here. So we'll just take 2 more questions, then we're done. Yeah, you can go for it.
Evening, everyone. My name is Tammy. I've got 3 questions, and I'll try and get through to them as quickly as possible. So the first question, and I'll try and not be too controversial with my questioning. The first one is that a framework like this looks and sound quite solid for certain markets, and how do you then cater for automation in a country like South Africa. The reason why I'm asking that is because there's a lot of factors that come into how a client or a customer behaves in different parts of the world. For example, here in South Africa, you might find that we're a very trusting nation. We want brands that we already know. I'm starting up a company named Apple, or not even Apple, let's say Banana. No one knows of Banana. If I get an email from Banana, I'm not clicking on it because I don't know it. How do I fix that problem? That's the first question. And then my second question is relating to efficiency, right? As the saying goes, you can spend 9 years trying to cut down a tree, or you can spend 9 years sharpening an axe and 1 year to cut it down, right? I can send 10,000 emails and only get 10 clients, which most of the time, that's where most entrepreneurs you find they fall off and they lose momentum because I'm doing so much and I'm not getting the return into how much I'm pushing. And I know people would have their different arguments to that. How do I become efficient in terms of where I store or use my energy in? Because that is one of the other challenges that I've had in my entrepreneurial journey, whereby I'll try so many different things or put so much effort into something that is not returning. Like I would send 10,000 emails or have a database full of customers that most of them are not even interested. How do I break it down and really focus on the people that are interested in working? How is what's the strategy around that? I'll leave my last questions because
No, we'll chat afterwards. Don't worry. Cool. So I'll just take his question, and then afterwards we're just going to start with the tech mixer, just because of time. If you have any other questions, we'll chat, afterwards. So to answer your question, I'll start with the last one. Here's one of the mistakes most founders make. And I like what you said. You send 10,000 emails, then you only close 10 deals. And then most of the time you just get discouraged and, you leave it. This is why it's important to have a system in place. So firstly, we'll break down the 10,000. You send 10,000 emails. So out of that 10,000, do you have the data of how many of those people actually opened your emails? How many emails bounced? And if you have that data, of the guys that opened your emails, do you know how many times they opened your emails? Because one of the interesting things we've actually noticed, especially from a sales perspective, which is why I was saying most of the time we tend to focus on these guys and we don't have any system in place for the guys that say no, is sometimes you can have a list of 10,000 people, you send your emails, and what happens is there are people who are going to open your email. They're not going to book a meeting. They're not going to respond. They're not going to do anything. But if you check 2 weeks later, they've opened your emails 12 times. That's a lead. That's a warm lead. That's someone who's really thinking about this. That's someone who's, going back. They're actually reading, that particular email. So this is why it's important to have a system, because if you have a good system, it allows you to create customer segments. So if, let's say, you send a list to 10,000 people, you can create segments of people that actually open the email. You can create segments of people that actually open the email more than 5 times. You can create segments of people that actually open the email more than 10 times. And when you have all of this, it gives you different touch points that you can actually, engage. But the most important thing is going back to the sales funnel. Most of us are trying to close in the awareness stage. If people don't know you, it's hard to sell or close them. So you need to know what stage are you in the sales funnel. So for those guys who don't know, you need to just do some research on the sales funnel. If you're in the awareness stage, your communication should be about awareness and not closing. If you're launching Banana, no one knows it. You can't come to us and be like, hey, this is Banana, 20,000. Like, we'll go to Apple, But if we see an ad, that says, hey, are you interested in new technology, coming up soon? Sign up for a newsletter. Someone signs up for the newsletter. And then you send them 10 exciting things about, the current state of technology. 1, Apple is amazing. 2, Samsung is amazing. 3, Banana is amazing. Everyone's like, oh, what's Banana? Then they go to your website. They read up about you. They don't say anything. They don't book in. Okay, they leave it. Next time, we send another email. I'm like, things to look out for, in 2025. 1, Apple is launching this new feature. 2, Samsung is doing 1, 2, 3. Have you signed up for, Banana yet? Banana sold out in Paris. Oh, what's this Banana again? Let's check it out. This is why with emails, you want to structure this. Before you even send a campaign, before you even do all of those things, have all of the assets set up already. Usually we have a standard of like 7 emails that we usually send out to prospects. And in most cases, by the 3rd or 4th email, most people respond, book a meeting or they don't. But it's important for you to understand what stage are you on the awareness stage. And more importantly, how do you move people from to the conversion stage? And you need to be patient with your sales pipeline, especially if you're new and you're starting. Don't rush people to buy Banana. They'll go to Apple. Okay, so that's it for the masterclass. Thank you guys for engaging. Okay, so finally for the tech mixer. Now we're gonna drink. If you're afraid of drinking, we'll probably organize some coffee there at the back. So we have some wine. We have some drinks there at the back. We're gonna play some nice music, and then what we're gonna do is when you came in, you should have received the card. It has some clues of the people that you can look for in the room. So what we're gonna do is it's an interactive game. So what we want you to do is not in any order. Choose a clue and just go talk to someone. Talk to someone. As you're talking to them, check if they fit one of the clues. If they do, tick that checkbox, add their name if you can, and whoever fills in their list, their entire list, is going to win amazing prizes. So what we have up for grabs is so you're going to get access to the Business Automation Challenge for free. And second to that, we are going to give you a free sponsorship to our community for the entire month of Feb. So which means we'll be promoting your business in our community of 40,000 business owners. It will be including you in our newsletters. We'll feature you in our website. You'll also record an amazing video, and then we're going to, give you the necessary exposure. So please make sure that you engage, and you're going to get a bottle of champagne as well. So we have a bottle of champagne there at the end. So you'll get to pop it for us. So please do engage with as many people as possible. We want you to interact, build meaningful relationships, and thank you for coming. We'll see you guys at the next one.